Over here on Netflix this week, covered Netflix a couple months ago, and going to be putting a link down there in the description to that analysis. But at that time, we were looking for Netflix to continue to the upside to go with the trend, and lo and behold, it sure did that. So we broke into the 130 level that we were talking about, and actually we find ourselves at the 140 level now. So we've just formed a little bit new support right here. For the big time frame perspective, I don't know that this thing is going to hold. Okay, I would like to see a little bit more of a retracement. So we're going to click on this and we're going to show all zones down here. And what really catches my eye here is this level right there from 123.60 up to 129. I like that level a lot, and I would like to see a pullback, a check mark trade, if you will, to and from that level is what I would like to see happen. So the trend is up on this market, but I'm really looking for that weekly zone as far as a really nice healthy pullback. Moving down to the daily time frame, as we look at confluence of the weekly and the daily time frame zones, we can see demand of two daily demand levels overlapping that big weekly level that we identified here. So again, this is going to be roughly looks like we're going to have about a $12 move to the downside here before we hit the weekly demand level. So possibly down to $13 to $15 if we hit the 125 area. Okay, so I'm looking for price to really intersect with this big weekly level. So looking at least a $11 move to the downside before we could find some nice buyers down here and take it back on up. As price moves to the downside here this coming week, we do have some resistance to make its way through, but I'm not really seeing these levels as being all that strong until we hit the 137.03 level. I think price can pretty much slice through these levels pretty easily. Now, the gap is what really interests me, and this is the gap from back in January, and I think that we will be hitting off the 135 zone that gap created, and then possibly bouncing back up into the 140 area as we continue to rock and roll. So I think there could be a couple different steps up and down here as we make our way down into the 125, 130 area. Looking at Amazon here on the weekly time frame, you'll remember from a few weeks ago we were looking very bullish on Amazon, and I'm happy to report last week we saw brand new highs as we dip into the 860 area, and I shouldn't say dip, as we expand into the 860 area. And I'm really very bullish on this market overall. However, I would like to see a nice little pullback in order to get long if you are not long yet. And just the way that the market typically goes, you see new highs and then a pullback. However, on this one, I'm not thinking that we're going to be able to get a pullback to this nice little aqua level here at 792. I'm thinking that we're going to continue to rally into 900 before we see a pullback here. So we will see if that can happen long term. But we're only concerned about the weekly forecast. So let's go ahead and go down to the daily time frame here. On the daily time frame, you can see that prices gap down to these previous lows and to that support zone that we have at 843, and it's rallying back up. It's filled that gap that it created there, and I'm looking for it to fade the gap back down, for price to fade back to the downside here, possibly go a little bit lower right here to this aqua level right around the 825 to 819 level. I'd like to see price move to the downside just a little bit more before rallying back up again. I think this would just really be a healthy thing for price to do here as we drop down into brand new fresh support, if you will, here on the daily time frame. Overall, again, still very bullish. Would love to see the top get popped yet again. But right now, I feel like this may be fading the gap just a little bit here and pushing back down just a little bit lower before we see a new high above 860.86. Looking here at the 4-hour time frame, again, I'm looking for price to blow through this level as price has already hit this level twice, and then just like on the daily time frame, 825 has some real good support down there, so looking for price to hit that level again before we rally and break the 860 area, okay, or the 860 resistance zone up here. Time will tell if this can happen this week. Really this week, all that I'm looking at is for a move down to 825. So even though the trend is up, I'm looking for price to continue to the downside here